Hello and welcome back to Gapey's Bee Yard. So yeah, my bees decided to swarm this week, and I was actually going to split the hive because I noticed there was quite a lot of bees in the hive and they were starting to make swarm cells, which is a sign that they're going to swarm. So before I was able to do the split, I noticed the bees just flying all around the backyard, which means that they're swarming. And I waited for probably 5 or 10 minutes, and finally they decided to land on the bird netting that we have over the blueberry patch. So the bird netting is, for one, to keep the chickens out of the blueberries and also to keep the birds out of the blueberries. So that's where they decided to land. It wasn't too hard to get them into the box. So the way you catch a swarm is basically get a hive box near the swarm and just shake the bees into it. And the important thing is to get the queen in the hive, because if you don't get the queen in there, the bees aren't going to follow. So I actually saw the queen kind of in the middle of the swarm initially, but after I shook them in there, I kept looking in the hive to see if I could see her, but I didn't see her. And after I did the shaking, I noticed she was actually at the top of the swarm. So I was able to grab her by hand and just shake her into the hive box. So I knew that the queen was in there, and once you know that, then the other bees will be able to smell her in the hive, and they'll just eventually all go in there, because that's where they want to be. So it really didn't take too long to get them all in there. And what I did is, after I got most of them in, I just kind of waited for all the rest of the bees to go in. And I'm wearing a bee suit, but when you have a swarm, they're really actually very gentle and they don't typically sting you. But I'm always wanting to be on the little bit of the safe side, because I don't really particularly like getting stung. So I did wear my bee suit, but when they were flying around the backyard, I didn't have my bee suit on, and they were just flying all around me, and I wasn't scared or anything. So it was a pretty big swarm, so I decided I was going to go ahead and just give them 2 boxes. So I had the bees in the bottom box, and I went ahead and added a second box on the top. And then I had my smoker lit just in case. I didn't really use it too much to catch the swarm. But really, I just use the smoker to kind of help the bees get into the hive so I don't squish them when I'm adding another box. And each of these boxes holds 8 frames. So I added, this one I'm putting in now is actually a foundationless frame. So most of the frames that I use have a plastic foundation, and that's what the bees draw their honeycomb on. But occasionally I'll add a foundationless frame where it's all honeycomb and there's no plastic involved. And that's good for cutcomb honey. And they also use that for building out drone cells, and the drone cells is what is basically the boy bees. So the male bees are a little bit bigger, and the mites that are really bad for bees are attracted to the male or drone bees comb, because they take longer to develop in the cell. So that's why the mites are attracted to that. So people use foundationless frames to kind of trap the mites. So when they lay those eggs in there and they cap those cells, you can actually remove those and it gets rid of all the mites, or most of the mites that are in the hive. So I've done that on occasion. So here we are in the front yard. So the hive swarmed in the backyard, and it was only about 20 feet from the actual hive. So I'm putting the swarm in the front yard next to one of my other hives. I'm just using cinder blocks as the base, and then I've got the hive body on top of the cinder blocks. So they should be able to stay in these 2 boxes for probably a month or so, I'm guessing, but I'll be checking on them probably once a week or once every other week, just to make sure they're doing okay, make sure the queen is laying eggs, and then see if there's anything that they need. If they needed more room, then I'll add another box. But I'm running pretty low on hive equipment. So I've got 4 beehives now, and I wasn't really expecting to go beyond 4 hives, but I have 2 other hives that overwintered, and they're gonna need possibly another hive as well because they may be wanting to swarm. So I went and bought some more equipment just in case. So that's how I caught the swarm. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.